Arthur from Just Another Moment podcast, and welcome back. Really excited to have you here for what will be episode 10. I'm super excited. I've got Mariam from the Fuck It Lister community, who I met online, never met in person yet, but it's been a really awesome sort of journey getting to know each other and working with each other and having a couple of like online hangouts and stuff like that. So yeah, welcome Mariam, and yeah, how are you today?
Hello, I'm very good. I'm very excited for the podcast, and I can't believe it's already a 10th episode.
Yeah, awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, I just realized, because I was sharing with you before that the previous episode, which was meant to be episode 9, episode 8 will actually be a 2-part episode because it went on for so long. So yeah, this is the lucky number, episode 10. So yeah, welcome. You will be the person who helps me tick off my fuck list item. So that's really cool. But yeah, so like, tell me, how's your week been? You just got back from Japan. When was that? About like 2-3 weeks ago now. How was that?
Oh, it was, I don't know how to describe it in words. What I know is that Japan was never on my list. I went there to meet other people from Bucket Lister community, and now I have to go back there every season because
really?
There's so many things I have to still see.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm not back to be I'm not ready to be in a work mode anymore. I have to force myself to keep working.
Yeah, that is like one thing that I struggle with coming back from anywhere. It's like, oh, I've got to do life now.
Exactly.
But yeah, what was your highlight of Japan? Because I've never been, and I live like, it's an 8-hour flight for me. So it's, and for 8 hours for me is a short flight. For Europeans, it's a long one. But yeah, what was the highlight for you?
Oh, it's difficult to choose just one, but I think what I will go with will be we stayed in a monastery with the monks for one night, and it was everything that you imagine Japan to be. Like how it was structured, the rooms, the views, food, everything is just how anybody thinks how Japan is if you've never seen it. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. It looks awesome. People were just brilliant. I wasn't expecting, because for some reason, I had this idea that Japanese people are very cold and they don't like to communicate with you, because that's what I was told. But it's not true. They really like foreigners, and views were so amazing. It was peace. It was quiet, even though we were like 12 people. But that must be the reason why I decided to go back, because I have to see this view in every season. So that will be the highlight.
Yeah, that's awesome. And what is that like? Because you went to see Mount Fuji as well? Is that right?
Yeah, I missed that part because I went to the Japanese Grand Prix instead, because that was one of the items in my list, and out of nowhere we got the tickets, and I went to Japanese Grand Prix instead.
Oh my word! How was that? That is like, Suzuka Circuit is like my like one of the circuits to drive. So yeah, like, I mean, when I say drive, I've never actually been there, but like, I drive online, and yeah, I love it. So yeah, how was that? That would have been like a really cool experience.
Yeah, it was. First of all, it was unexpected, so surprising, and I couldn't believe it happened. And it was one of the most boring races of the season, but it was the most exciting one because I was there.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I didn't understand how fast the cars were, because you see it, but you never feel it. But when I was watching from the live, it was completely different world. And it was more like a festival than just race. I was expecting going there, watch the race, it's over, go home. And no, it was full on schedule with the festival and all the activities. And you could try the simulator, F1 simulator, and we saw the real cars. Like, how is that called? Outside, for people to just move away and see how it looks and how it
Yeah.
feels to drive one. So it
Yeah, that's
was pretty cool.
yeah. I've always I love F1. I grew up watching F1.
Yeah, me too.
When I
I'm
was
a
at,
fan.
on every Sunday, like Sunday afternoon with Dad, we would watch it and we would have like we loved Ferrari, Michael Schumacher, like coming up as when in the 90s and stuff. And every Sunday we used to watch it. And I was like, yeah, I really want to go. And like F1 is one of the biggest items on my bucket list. The first one is to actually go to an F1 event. But then the second one is to complete a full F1 calendar and like go to every race and complete it probably is going to get harder as well because they keep adding races each year. But I think if I did like 24 different tracks over the course of like 3 or 4 years, it'd be amazing. Expensive though, so I definitely need to like get some money and save up. But yeah, I absolutely love F1. It's such a cool experience, and I think more recently, since the last 7 years or so, with like Drive to Survive on Netflix, it's become more popular, and they are making it a much bigger event, like a more of a show than just a race. So yeah, who's your favorite driver, and what's your favorite team?
Oh, tough question. I haven't yet decided. That was one of the issues. I went there to buy the merch and I was like, I don't know which one to buy. So I bought the F1 instead of specific team because I like as a driver, now I'm like Max is the best driver they have on a grid so far, my opinion. But Piastri has been so good this season. I'm like, has a very good potential. And I can't decide because when I started watching F1, it was Ferrari. I started with Schumacher and Ferrari was my go-to, but they are not doing very well. And yeah, I don't really like Hamilton that much anymore. So yeah, last year it was Carlos Sainz. I really liked Sainz, but this year, yeah, no.
Oh,
I
that's
can't
cool.
be Williams fan. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's actually, yeah, that's really cool. I do yeah, I think actually like I shifted when Drive to Survive came out in terms of like my favorite driver, my favorite like team. I like Ferrari will always be like my childhood and like what team I love. Like I just love, the red Ferrari, the like what it represents in racing and all of that. It's like such a cool history, but I really love like watching Lando, Alex Albon, George Russell sort of like grow up and come through the ranks, and Lando like being so online, like watching his YouTube videos and stuff like that. I just loved him, so I really want him to win a championship, but I have a feeling he won't hold on to it, and I think it will go to Oscar this year, which it will please the Australian fans, but for me I'll be like, damn, like Lando definitely deserves it. He's brought the team up, but the best driver takes it, and I think Oscar is really hot form at the minute. So yeah, if Lando kept his cool, I think he could definitely do better. But second in the leaderboard now, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, interesting. But I wasn't expecting Albon to be a very good driver. I was surprised with that information. Now I'm checking him out more often to see. But let's see. Maybe we become a McLaren fan.
Yeah.
For next season, because I have on my list to see like full F1 calendar as well. So I need to have a team. I can go. I just don't.
Yeah. That's crazy. I did not know that. There we go. We learn something new every day. So we can do that. We can do our bucket list together. You've already ticked off Japan. Have you been to any other races?
No, I was planning this year to go to Baku because it's closer to my location. But I already went to Japan. It was the first one. That's why it was the coolest one.
Yeah, Baku would be like really cool as well, wouldn't it? It would like I mean, all of them are like destination locations, and you absolutely want to go to all of them pretty much. I think the highlights. I think Silverstone in the UK would be massive. Like that's always a hugely popular race. Monaco would be more for the show rather than the actual the race, because there's not like, you know, not too much hot stuff. I'd love to go to Austria, you know, for like Max Verstappen and, you know, Red Bull Ring and all of that. Like, so, yeah, there's definitely a couple that I would love, and also Belgium with Spa. Like, that would be unreal to watch a race there. Like, just to even be there would be sick. Like, from a racing fan point of view. So yeah, no, that's awesome. So no, we'll have to line one up. If you come to Australia next March or April, whenever it is, we'll go to Australian F1. We can tick that one off.
Yeah, I have to do it because I have a deadline on my list and it's soon. So
when is your deadline?
End of 2027.
Ah, okay. Yeah, right.
I think I have 2 years to attend like 24 races. It's a lot.
I think mine's the end of 28, so I've got an extra year on you.
It's okay. We're gonna do it earlier.
Yeah, no, we will. We'll definitely. Yeah, I need to do one this year. So if I'm coming over to Europe in July, August, then I'll definitely look at getting that sorted out. Maybe like one of the European events would be really, really cool. But yeah, so like, tell me, like, you know, obviously we're doing a podcast around like our adventure stories, our like our own personal transformation and our own journey and stuff like that. And you mentioned that you were suffering from burnout and you went on this like really cool sort of like surprise camping trip, and like I'd love to hear more about that and how that sort of like experience in nature for you really transformed the way you look at nature with healing, like in terms of from that mental health perspective. And then like after that we can maybe like dig in a little bit around like what you struggled with in the past as well. So yeah.
Okay, so that camping trip happened because I was with my friends. We were all working in a hospital at that time, and night shifts just burned us all out. So we decided to have a weekend getaway in nearby village. We didn't know it would be anything exciting. We just wanted to be away from like city. It was hot. It was painful to stay. So we decided to go, and then villagers told us that there's a very nice spot with a waterfall. And it's kind of difficult to get there, but we were like, we're going to try anyway. So we just went camping, underprepared, too many clothes, too little food, obviously, as it happens all the time. And it was interesting trip because before that, I never thought I liked nature. Because when we go to nature, usually, I was around like 17, 18. So before we would go to nature, it was like a picnic, little camping with a family or friends or classmates. And it was still very many people. It was loud, noisy. You were not resting. You were just having fun and then going back home. And that trip was different. That's why I remembered it, because even the walk to the road, it was very peaceful. It was quiet. You could hear nothing. And I was like, oh, that feels nice. My thoughts are gone. I'm just enjoying the moment, and the weather is nice. It smells like trees. So it was first time when I finally felt that peace that comes with nature. And then we ended up with a waterfall, and it was even better because I love water. It's just, I don't know, people say water has this ability to relax you, and water is one of my ways to feel better about myself or situation or anything, actually. So ending up with a waterfall was like cherry on the top on the trip, because that's the place we decided to stay, and it was fun. It was interesting. That's the moment I realized I'm not afraid of heights, because we went on top of the waterfall and jumped. I'm not sure it was the smart decision, but it was the fun one. So it was one of the trips I remembered, which is weird because I don't remember much of myself until I was adult. So
Yeah, right.
yeah,
That's really cool. I love that because it just sort of shows, even when sometimes we go out into nature, we're not fully present in nature. You know, like we have these distractions, the people, the noises, the sounds, the activities and stuff like that. And so having those experiences where we can step out into nature and just actually stop and listen and smell, you know, like you said, you smell the trees, you smell the fresh air, you hear the song of nature, you hear you know, everything around you, which is just like not from us, and it's so beautiful. And yeah, like waterfalls, like they're just so powerful. I love it. And I think what you mean, or what you said around water, is like I interpret that as like water is such a powerful element because it's like a life force for us in our hydration, but also it's like a cleanser as well. Like it feels really good to just after a long day at work have a shower, and even having like cold showers as well, like is really good. And like I was just researching a little bit earlier, like in the week, and around cold showers is like if you hit cold water on the back of your neck for just 30 seconds before you, like as you're having your shower, 30 seconds before, have your normal shower, and then 30 seconds after, like at the end of your shower, just on the back of your neck, it actually like stimulates your vagus nerve, and that helps calm you down, and it helps like relax you. So it's like so cool. And so like with waterfalls, it's like such a cool thing because it's always cold water, and it's just like such a powerful thing. But if you like let that water like hit you, it is a really relaxing sort of experience. And yeah, just love it. I love everything that you said around that trip. And you know, obviously you said what it's like you and like 2 or 3 other people, so it's just like really intimate as well, and yeah, super special.
yeah, and I think we were all so tired of like human things, like talking, doing something. We were just enjoying this peace. And I can definitely confirm the cold shower thing because I've been doing that for my anxiety. And it was tremendous help. And I never stopped. I still hate it, but I never stopped.
That's interesting. So like with, because this is like one thing I think that there's like a really cool distinction here as well with having cold showers is very different to cold water exposure, such as like an ice bath and stuff like that. And this is like really important for people to know, I suppose. Like cold water is like the thing that gives us that preparation. It can help relax us and help calm us. But like you said there, like you have your cold showers to help you with your anxiety, right? And so if I have a look at where we are in like in terms of the nervous system with anxiety, normally we're in a heightened state. Like heightened would be yeah, like the hyper aroused state. So that's anxious, that's stress, that's like more alert, you're looking out for more dangers and stuff. So if someone with anxiety went in to have an ice bath, for example, that's going to put more stress on the body and like be actually potentially detrimental to you in that side of things. It's not going to help calm you down. Eventually it will. It does have like some positive health benefits, but with if you were anxious and then you go and have an ice bath, like you're going to just increase the stress levels in your body even more, which isn't what you want. If you're anxious, you actually want to like down regulate and calm down. But what you said there about the cold showers is really good because you're not causing yourself so much stress going into that it does actually it activates your vagus nerve, and that really helps down regulate you. And if you pair that with some like nice deep breathing whilst you do it, like that will bring you right down. So that was I thought that was like a really cool point that you made around that, because then it's important to make that distinction. But Yeah. How long have you been having like ice or like, you know, ice showers or cold showers now? Because I imagine in Europe it would be literally an ice shower.
Yeah, it was a ice shower for 285 days, I think, straight. I started it for my anxiety because vagus is the main nerve for parasympathetic nerve system, so it
Yeah.
does calm you down. But when I did it, it was because I was very anxious, and when I was under a cold shower, I was physically shaking. So my anxiety was on the back now. It was not
Yeah.
the main issue anymore. So that's how
Yeah.
it would help me to calm down. I didn't know. I just started doing it one summer, and I'm like, now I have a streak, so I don't want to give it up. And I keep doing it until a year because I'm like, I will be doing cold showers for a year. And
Yeah.
it just makes everything better. I'm
Oh,
not torturing myself for a long term, but in the morning after shower, I feel way more focused, way better. So why not?
yes. It's like it's a really good like morning routine, and like it's what I used to do when I was in the UK, is I would have like a set thing that I had to do before I'd go to my phone and go on social media, because obviously I was doing my business, I wasn't employed, so I had the time to do it. And it would just be like real basic things like drink a glass of water, or try to get a liter of water had. And then I would do some breath work, so 10 minutes of breath work, 10 minutes of stretching. Once I've done that, then it would be eating a healthy breakfast and then having a cold shower. And like just those 5 things really set me up. But the cold shower bit at the end, like to start the actual day, was like because it like you hit that cold water on your back and you go and then you like breathe through it, and then it comes more comfortable, and then your body just responds really well to it, and then and then you're just ready, you're activated for the day, but you're also calm. It's like a weird thing which you're like, it calms you but activates you for a really nice productive day. So it's such a cool thing. And like with your anxiety now, like is it like better controlled because of like the cold showers, or do you still have like the anxiety pop up from time to time, and is there other things that you use to manage that?
I think my anxiety is almost gone. Hopefully, I do have anxiety, but on the tiny things that are very new for me. So I think that's pretty normal to experience that. So otherwise, I used to have panic attacks. I used to have anxiety attacks, and it's completely gone in a year. Right now, it's just the tiny reminders that they existed, and I'm very glad for that, because it used to stop me doing a lot of things.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
What's so outside of the cold showers, what are the main changes for you around anxiety, and like how you've been able to calm your nervous system down there?
So I think my anxiety was completely made up in my mind. My mindset change made everything better, because what my anxiety was like how people will perceive me, right? That's why I'm anxious, because that's why I was anxious, because I'm like, I'm gonna do something, it will be embarrassing, it will be funny for other people to see. But then my mind shift changed to that if I will do it, it will become more self-centered. If I do it, I will learn something new. And even if it will be funny for other people, now I know it. So I can prevent this thing, or I can develop in it. That little shift made a lot of big changes. And the second part was that my identity was somehow connected to my weight before. I think it was because of the environment, how people see others with weight issues, and that changed also. I worked for that intentionally, to take away my identity from my weight and how much I weighted, and anxiety on that in that place also disappeared.
Yeah.
But And now I say that I'm very self-centered. Because you can see that shift.
Yeah, no, that's like, that's really good. And I think like it's really important to have that distinction. Like what you've said there is like you've just had like simply you've had a shift of mindset, because there's so many people that will say, I'm an anxious person, I'm a depressed person, I'm a sad person, I can't be happy. And so having these like phrases in our head like really stop us from moving forward. So having that mindset shift from being what maybe you identified as before as an anxious person to now you're not an anxious person, these are just thoughts in my head and you are not your thoughts. It's like a really cool process out of that. And then that obviously flows on to other really important areas of your life, which, you know, ultimately like have given you really good sort of like now foundation to move forward and step forward into it. And the other thing you said as well is there's a couple of things to unpack there, like obviously the self-belief, so around the anxiety, like believing that you're an anxious person generally makes you the anxious person that you are. But then you mentioned as well like where you would worry as an anxious person about what other people think. So letting go of what other people think of you, it also frees you from having that anxious thought, right? So like there's that book by Mark Manson, like The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, and it's pretty much just like don't care what other people think. It doesn't matter what other people think. What matters is you. And I had in the previous podcast, like we had a very similar conversation around that. And then the third thing was like you identified who you were with your weight as well, you know. And so that's another important thing is like how do you identify as a person, and is that identification of you serving you in the best way possible? And if it isn't, how can we change the perceived identity for yourself to step away from what's holding you back? So I guess with that, like if your previous identity was something linked to your weight, what would your current identity be?
Oh, that's an interesting question because I don't know. That's what I'm trying to find out. Because I had this period. First, it was linked to my weight. Then it became linked to my profession because I was like, then what else it should be linked to? And now it's not linked to anything. And this is the most interesting part of my life so far, because now I don't have this prepared excuses or prepared reasons why I can't do anything, because it doesn't affect my weight, it doesn't affect my job. So I'm like, I don't have reasons to not do it. So I started exploration way more. And right now, I think it's not necessarily have to be linked to anything. I just have to find out what are the things I genuinely interested in, and what are the things that I'm good at, what are the things I can do, and just choose from them what I want to be, because I don't know. I don't know what it is yet.
No, that's honestly the best place to be, from my experience.
Okay.
Like, you know, I was like, I used to identify as a husband, as, you know, someone's partner. You know, I was like the other half, and you know that was like 10 years of my life. And so when I lost that, I lost my identity. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I was meant to be doing in life, and I really struggled. And like that period where you lose yourself a little bit is scary. But as soon as you get to a point where you actually realize I can be whoever I want to be, like that is actually the coolest feeling. It's like if you want to start running and become a runner, you can become a runner. If you want to become a writer, you can become a writer. You know, if you want to become a singer, regardless of talent, you can be a singer. You might be a good one or a bad one, you know, but like you have the power. And I think taking back that power to say, hey, this is who I am, or I'm figuring it out, it still gives you, like, if you're even still figuring out who you are, or what you're meant to be doing, like that is still such a free place to act from and to be, because when you do have those boxes, like, this is my weight, this is who I am an anxious person, XYZ, it really traps you. And like for me, it was like, I was, for such a long time in my life, I was sad, depressed, stressed out, burnt out, lonely, and so like it almost became like my life became that because I identified as that. And so as soon as I let go of those identifications and said, I can be what I want, then that's where it clicked. And that clicked for me in Vietnam, where I just realized that I'm never going to see half like any of these people ever again. So I can just like be free. I can be like, just unleash like any part of me that I wanted to be and just be completely free. And that was like really, really awesome experience. And yeah, and the fact that you don't necessarily have like an identity now is like really, really cool. Because it gives you all of those options to sort of discover who you want to be and then guide yourself in the best way possible. And you can ask those, like, the questions is like, who do I want to be? And is this activity serving the person that I want to become? You ask those two questions, then you're definitely well on your way to living a happy and content life, but also being free to make those choices as well. So yeah, that's really, really cool.
Yeah, that's interesting, because the moment I let go of that specific idea that my identity has to be linked to something, everything just changed for the better. Because before that, I was feeling so stuck, and I was like all the things you just named. I was sad, I was depressed, I was lonely, and I was like, I'm stuck. Every day is the same. I don't see the difference. I don't realize that years are going by because it's just the same. And the moment I decided it doesn't matter what my identity will be linked to, I found the thing I want to do. I found the things I want to explore and I want to learn. And I don't know why they are happening yet, but I will find out. And that will be the interesting part in the end, because you feel lost when you detach yourself from something, but it's not it's not all of you, it's just part of you, and you can have a different part. So that was interesting shift that happened not long ago.
No, that's awesome. And yeah, it is so true. And it's like, what I found one of the best things was obviously like freeing myself from where I identified before, but then stepping into a place of realizing that I could create the person I wanted to be. Yeah. And that kind of like came from when I was experiencing like the loss of a relationship and how I identified myself as a person as that, and then how I felt in that loss of relationship with depression and suicidal thoughts and stuff like that. I was then better able to choose where I wanted to be as soon as I like came out of that. So if I wanted to like go for a run, I could like just be like, okay, like now today I'm a runner. And so you can actually like choose who you want to be. And like a really good example of it is like when you go to work, you put on a different mask than what you do when you're at home on your own, when you're at home with your friend, or when you're going to see like your grandparents or your family or anything like that, And so that's like a really important thing to understand, because at the core there is a you, and like you are that person. But then when you're showing up at places, networking events, grandparents, your parents, your best friends, at home on your own, like those masks come off and come back on. And it doesn't mean that you're not being genuine or authentically yourself. It just means like you're adapting to that environment that you're in. And so realizing that that is what I used to do, and I still do now, made me go, well, now I can just like adapt to be who I wanted. So that was a really cool experience. And then have you heard of the Batman effect?
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, I'll put it up in my post, right? But so with the Batman effect, it's like basically giving you the power to create the version of you, the best version of you that you want to become. And so this is something that you can like build into your day, where you can just go, I want to be like, this is the best version of me, someone that shows up, someone that's on time, someone that is consistent, someone that is genuine, authentic, and everything else. Like whatever your values are, you basically build into that person. And then you can say, it's time to be whatever you call your Batman. And you know, and that can also like really unlock the really cool things as well in your day. So yeah, but I loved what you shared there.
Yeah, that's so true. I love the idea. I knew it with a different name. If sky was the limit was something, the exercise we used to do. Like, if sky was the limit, what type of person you will be? How do you see yourself? And it's just the work. You have to be willing to put the work, or you have to be ready. Because I knew that information way long, but I wasn't ready to let it go. I wasn't ready to let that part go. And the moment I remembered all the things I knew, and I took action, and things changed.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I love what you said there. It's like you might not be ready, and it takes time to get yourself to a ready position. And you know, it's the same with it. Like anyone struggling with mental health, it's like, if they're not ready to speak about it, or to talk about it, or to get help or get advice, then there's no point in pushing that. Well, there is a certain point in pushing it or like encouraging it, but they won't start until they're ready, you know. And that's like super, super important to like recognize. And this is one thing that came up in like when my relationship like sort of like stopped, was I was like trying so hard to like do all the things that you would think like to sort of save the relationship and stuff like that. But it just came from a place that was like, you can't push people into getting help or seeking help. And so it just had to naturally happen at its own pace. And yeah, like that is like what you said there is like really important. Like, it takes time to be ready for change. And even if you think you want to change, you have to then be like, I'm ready for that change. And that's when things can start really actually changing. And hopefully generally for the better. So yeah, it's like, yeah, really cool.
Yeah, it was something I didn't know. It was something I struggled with a lot, because I was like, I'm trying. I really, really want to change it. I'm trying to change it. It's not happening. But then I changed the question with, but what it is that it does for me. And it was so many things. And I knew I wasn't ready to let all of that go. So I was like, now it's my decision. It's like taking control over your decisions, and you'll be like, yeah, it's me. And then you accept or you change.
Yeah.
And it depends on the time.
Yeah. I think I was sharing with you like earlier in the year that I was like, I can't remember. It's just like on one of our little coffee hangout calls that we had. And I was like, I had this like epiphany that it's the stupidest thing, but I had this epiphany that I was like, I have thoughts which don't belong to me, you know?
Yeah, we all do have it.
I was like, hang on. I was like, hold up. I was like,
Yeah.
my head has these thoughts, and then I have this conversation with myself around whether or not that thought is valid. And I said that, then all of a sudden I was like, whoa, like I'm a completely separate entity. You know, it's like my body is like half of me, but it isn't me. And my mind is half of me, but it also isn't me. You know, I can control the actions of my body, and I can control the actions of my mind, you know, but the mind just has this automatic like thought process, right? And so I did a video recently about like how your mind has got these ants, and like ants are like the automatic negative thoughts. And I was like, man, like that's so crazy that I was like, so I was just sitting in the truck and being like, where did that thought come from? And I was like, hey, I don't want that. Like, no, like go away. So yeah, it's like, it's crazy to give yourself that separation to really sit back and go, what am I thinking? And listen to yourself, because then you can start to quieten that brain as well.
Yeah, that's the difficult part, because you have to listen through it. I have a name for that voice in my head. And every time I get the idea that I'm pretty sure it's not mine, I'm like, oh, that's yours. So
Yeah.
because
What's
we
the name?
all have, oh, it's called my fatty self because it started with me. It started when I started to lose weight. I had the binge eating episodes, and there was always this voice in my head that was saying that, oh, you overate, you had one piece of cake, so whole day is ruined, so eat everything. Or you're like, oh, you stress, so what's the best way to feel better? Just eat everything. And that's why I named it my fatty self. And then I realized that it's not only about weight. I just noticed it during that. It's about everything. That every idea, my anxiety voice also, because it says, oh, if you do something you've never done before, you will look silly. You will look stupid. Don't do it. And then I'm like, yeah, but it's not my idea. It's yours. That's how I like detach myself to still do something, because I needed it in the beginning. I wasn't strong enough to just go against myself. So that's how I started doing it. And over the time, that voice gets little slower and slower, like more quiet. So
Yeah.
let's see how quiet can it go.
Yeah. No, that's what I really like. That it's actually like giving an identity
Yeah,
to your thoughts, because then you can separate yourself from it.
yeah,
And that's like so important. Is you know, so many people that struggle get stuck in their own head around why they're struggling, why they're feeling a certain way.
yeah,
But as soon as you go, hey, like I don't like, I actually love myself and I care for myself, then all of a sudden you go, well, these thoughts don't align to the self-love or the self-care that I have for me. And then you can go, well, if they don't align, they must not be mine, you know.
yeah.
Oh, that's really catchy, hey.
Yeah, because it's also
Sick.
true. You might be just influenced by something you saw on the TV, somebody looking pretty good, and you're like, oh, I look bad today. And then you
Mm,
like have this whole thoughts and ideas that, oh, that's like rabbit hole that starts because it
yeah.
came from the outside. But if it has different voice, then you're like, then you're deciding, do I want
Mm,
to listen to you? No, not really. So go away.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's really cool. And yeah, it is one of these things that we we've never been taught any of this, you know.
No, that's the
Like,
difficult part.
yeah, we've never been taught like the fact that, hey, you're going to have thoughts, but they might not actually be yours. Like, they come from you, but they're not yours, you know. Like, if we were taught this in school growing up and actually understanding like how
Mm,
our brain works and how we operate as humans, I think the world would be a much better, happier, healthier place. And if not the pursuit of happiness itself, is like, I actually prefer the pursuit of being content, because when I'm content, I feel really peaceful, and I know that there's less likeliness to have like a crash. You know, like if you go, oh, I'm like so happy right now, like you're at the top of the roller coaster, you know, at the end of like at the end of happiness there's going to be a fall. Like, you can't always just stay
yeah,
happy. So like keeping content in that like a really nice calm window is where I think I want to spend the majority of my life. But yeah,
yeah.
I love that. I'm going to make a t-shirt on that. If it doesn't
Yeah,
align, it's not mine. How cool is that?
it's really cool. You have to do it. But that's also a thing. People don't want to accept the fact that emotions change. You can't always be happy. It can't be happening all the time.
Yeah.
It's gonna come and go. So you have to be able to regulate it for your
Mm.
behalf.
Yeah, absolutely. I always look at it as like, you know, if when I was like going through depression, um I would always I was lucky enough that I was able to visualize what depression looked like for me.
Oh,
And pretty much it was just like the dark storm clouds like coming in and surrounding me, and like just getting darker and darker, like almost in this background that I've got now, actually. It's like the trees are the clouds, and I can see the clouds like closing and closing and closing in until it's just complete darkness. And that's how I would feel if I had this feeling. I could then connect that feeling to a vision of these clouds coming in. So then if I had that feeling and the vision popped up, then I could start to visualize and like actually move the clouds away. So I go, okay, they're gone. But if I couldn't, then I would go back to like what I learned, that regardless of however many cloudy days I had, or like however many stormy days I had, after every single storm is sunshine, right? So I recognize that the storms don't last forever, but also the sunshine doesn't last forever, because it also does have to rain and it does have to get stormy sometimes. And so that's how I sort of pictured life. And ideally you just want a nice calm day, like not super hot and sunny, but also not like stormy and horrible. You just sort of want it to just be. But I would always remember that if it was sunny, enjoy these moments. Like if it's a sunny, positive, happy day, enjoy these moments, because they're not going to last forever. And then if it's stormy and cloudy, just recognize, hey, it's like a shitty time right now, but it's going to get better. Like the sun will shine again. And that's sort of where I go to when I sort of go through that like up and down process in my days.
Yeah, how was the process? It was very difficult in the beginning. I have a little similar process. I don't visualize it, but right now I see that it's just one day, and I have enough proofs to show myself that these days can't be going forever, because it is not possible. It can be very long term, but it's not possible to be forever. I just have to endure, and I learned how to endure, because I don't know. I don't know how I learned it, but I did. I think it was just the process and the time. But yeah, it's unfortunately not a fast process. It's weird that you are describing depression like that, because for me it was not the trees or woods. It was just fog where you can't see anything through it. And it was just fog and me ready for something. I don't know what it is, but that's how I always saw it.
Yeah. So it's very similar in a way. And I think everyone's got their own thing with it as well. Like even with anxious thoughts, like there's like the exercise of anxious thoughts that you can do, where if you there's two. So the first one that I came across was Leaves on a Stream, and it's like a really nice, easy like meditation. And basically with Leaves on a Stream is you close your eyes, you put yourself into like a calm place, maybe like a little river which is like, you know, going by, and there's leaves on there. And any thought that you have, like your anxious thoughts, you pop that thought on a leaf and then watch it like disappear. Now, for some people who have these racing thoughts and high levels of anxiety, the common theme that I've had with my clients has been these thoughts are coming out so quickly, but the stream is really wide and it's moving really quickly. And as they start to get their thoughts out and down, the stream kind of changes to a little bit narrow and calmer, just like a soft trickle. And I found that really interesting. I did this with like a fair few clients, and it was a similar thing. And that's how I experienced it as well. Like maybe mine was like a little more streamlined, but the thoughts would like go like really quickly. And as they sort of like disappeared, it would calm down and bring a sense of calm, which was really awesome. The other one is similar to my clouds, like if I see the dark clouds coming in, but it's like you can put your thoughts on a cloud, and if it's got a negative thought on it, you can almost just like get a tennis racket and whack it away. And that was like the two visualization processes or meditations that you can do for like helping with anxiety and calming in that space. And you know, there's so many like different tools and resources that we can use. And yeah, it's like we don't know, you know, and I think a lot of people have to go through the pains and the challenges and the struggles, because that's ultimately what allows us to build that resilient muscle. You know, like we're able to build resilience within our body, within our system, within our mind, that when challenges do come up, then we know we can overcome them. And until they come up, we don't know we can overcome them.
Yeah.
But it's that like fine balance as well of having, you know, you don't want a challenge to be too difficult that you're just going to give up and feel defeated, but you don't want it to be too easy because it's too boring. You, like, to really connect with like flow state, you want that you want it to be challenging enough that you have to put the effort in, that you have to try, but you know that you will succeed if you try. And like that's a cool thing with it, I think, is like, to build the resilience is just challenging ourselves enough. And if we do that, then we become stronger and more capable to move through.
Yeah, but that's one of the things people are afraid of. That was one of the things I was afraid of. I was like, I know for sure that if I put everything I have, I will be able to achieve that. But what if I won't? Then I have this proof that I'm worthless. That was my chain of thoughts all the time. So it was way easier for me to stay in that state because I was never trying enough. And then I just pushed through that thought 2-3 times, and then I already had the proof. But first 2 times, it was so difficult because you are having this fear that if it will not happen, if I won't achieve it, it will be the proof that I just can't. So what's the point? Well, you do achieve it.
Yeah, and that's like what you just said there is like really important. And I actually had this conversation yesterday with my mental fitness coach, and she was basically saying that she actually gave me like a really good like example, and got to the end of it, and what I took from it was sort of right but also wrong. And so I was like, so basically we need it came to it, and I said, we need the proof before we believe. And she goes, yeah. And then I was like, okay, thank you. And then she goes, wait, no, you don't need the proof before the belief. You need the belief before the proof. The proof will just amplify that belief in you. And so like what you said there is like, it took you 3 times before you started to believe in yourself, but you tried and succeeded 3 times to get there, which means somewhere within you did have some level of belief that it was achievable, right? And so when we start to, if we can visualize the success of something first and then do the actions required to get to that goal, we're probably more likely to get to the goal because we've already built in our brain the belief system that we're going to achieve it. And yeah, that was like a cool thing yesterday. I was like, okay, cool. Like, this is what I understood from that. It's just like, no. But yeah, it is like, for so many people, it is like the challenge of self-belief. Like, if you're so low, like so low, you lack self-love, you lack self-worth, you lack self-confidence, in cases you lack self-respect, how are we ever going to get out of those positions into a position where, hey, we're going to do something and we can succeed in it? And it's potentially building like the small wins in that process to get that. It's not about saying, hey, I'm going to run a marathon tomorrow. No, like, go run 1 kilometer, you know, like, just start with the small wins and build up to it. But yeah, I loved what you said there. Is like building the fact that, okay, I'm going to try and, you know, get those 3 wins in, but it would never have started without that kind of belief that you could do it in the first place.
Yeah, it was not the issue of, I think I just didn't believe that it was important enough for me to actually try. Because you know what you can and can't do, you know your capabilities. Sometimes you overestimate it, sometimes under, but you know what you can do. And I did know I could do it. But in that moment, I didn't know that it was my priorities that was the issue. I didn't know, will I put enough work in it? to actually achieve it. And that's when people are like, I'm trying everything, but I can't. But you're not really trying. You are pretending, lying yourself that you're trying. Because if you truly will, when I truly did, I did so, the result. And every separating it, it's like separate and roll. Separating it to tiny, tiny steps helps a lot, because you see this building blocks that you are creating, and just it comes together pretty nicely. But
Yeah.
I didn't want it to do the work for that.
Yeah. Well, people are scared, and like you said, like you were scared of, if I try, what if it doesn't work out, right? But I bet now your mindset has shifted from, if I try, what if it doesn't work out, to what if I don't try and it could have worked out, you know? Like, what do we have to lose by trying to achieve something that we want to achieve? Like, really nothing, you know? Like, because, you know, if we try and it doesn't pay off, guess what? We're in the same position that we were in anyway. We've just learned a lesson. So almost we've always got something to gain. You know, and I think life is a process of lessons, and being able to like acknowledge things that come in and let them go, and adapt and change to like our environment, and to change to what we need. Because yeah, like without these lessons, without these failures, we will just, you know, always stay stuck and not growing and not adapting. And then the other thing you said before was around, like, you know, obviously you tried 3 times and you got the 3 wins to get there, but it's almost like the uncomfortability of putting us, like, stepping outside of that comfort zone almost puts us in a place of I could fail, and that feeling of potential failure is uncomfortable. But there's a really good reframe I heard recently, that anytime you step, like, you've got your comfort zone, and then anytime you step out of that, you're in the discomfort zone. And that uncomfortable zone is actually a zone of growth, because anytime we're in there, we're growing and we're expanding ourselves. And that's the way to our goals. That's the way to our success. And I found that, like, someone said that they were really nervous to, like, speak in public, and like there was a room full of people and she had the microphone, and it was just like that moment of nerves wasn't nerves, it was just like the expansion. Like, you're proving to yourself that you're doing something that you were scared of, and now you've done it, you've expanded. And I think, like, picturing it that way is like really important. And without those wins, without trying, without failing a couple of times, without growing and then getting the success, like, you would not have expanded, you would not have grown as a person to then get to where you want to be, like, tomorrow and every day after.
Yeah, and also this fear part comes not always from you. That was one of the things that helped me a lot. Like you said, public speaking, and I was afraid of public speaking. I had a huge anxiety about it, and then I thought about it. I was like, I never tried it. Where does it come from? And it comes from all the people saying that, oh, it's scary. What if you say something wrong? What if you do something wrong? And I was like, it's not my fear. It's other people's fear. I'm just heard of it so many times that I think I should be afraid of it too. And then I tried, and turns out I'm not afraid of it. I did have this uncomfortable part when I realized, I noticed, I knew I was getting red on my face, and I was like, oh, well, they know I'm nervous. It's okay.
Yeah. And see, that's really good, like, to experience it. And what you did there is, like, you know, you acknowledged it and go, it's okay. And you weren't worried about what other people think of you or what other people thought.
You can't change it. It already happened.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, and that's the best thing. It's like, and the other thing with it is, like, there's 2 things. The first thing actually was, it goes to what Alex Hormozi said, that if you don't know where the belief came from, it probably isn't yours. You know, like, that one was like huge. I was like, oh man, that is so true. Like, how many beliefs do we have in our life that just came from other people that actually aren't ours. You know, like we've, in some sense, we've lost the ability to form our own beliefs because we have so much information coming our way and people telling us these things that we go, oh, that must be true. You know, we don't fact check, we don't look into it. And so there's that. And I forgot the second point, but it was probably not as important as the Hormozy one.
Yeah, Hormozy one, it was very, very interesting. Because now I think about everything, I believe every values, and try to find the reason I have them. If I can't, I found a lot of things that are not my beliefs. That's how I find out I wasn't afraid of heights. I was just told it's scary and I should be cautious. And I'm like, okay, but I don't experience that fear that people experience who are actually afraid of heights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't get the sweaty hands.
No, I don't. I was just thinking that you should feel fear, and I didn't know it was not mine. There's so many things we don't know, but we believe in. And it really, really affects our relationship to a lot of things. Yeah, you have
absolutely.
to figure out what's yours. But it's so much work. Honestly, so much work. Not everybody is willing to. I wasn't willing to do it like 2 years ago. I was like, it's not. I don't have time.
Yeah, but I think like the work comes from a place of like what is easier to do, right? Like if I can't remember who said it, but it's probably in the Hormozy universe somewhere. But I think it definitely is. Actually, it was probably on one of the Skool podcasts. But it's it's basically what is easy isn't good for you.
Oh, yeah.
And what is good for you isn't easy. That is definitely a Hormozy universe. Like thinking about.
I've heard about it. Like it's Hormozy.
Yeah, 100%. And but that again is like so true because like anything that's easy, like you know, I put this to a real simple, like a basic thing, right? To go into the fridge at like 9 o'clock at night and be like, I'm hungry, but I don't really want to cook. You go to the easy thing. What is like something that you can grab and get and eat and like fulfill that like short-term need versus, hey, I'm going to like cook up an actual healthy meal. I'm going to prepare a salad, for example. And like, I do that all the time. Like I'll go into the fridge and be like, I'm pretty hungry. And then I'll go, nah. And then I'll just like pour a glass of milk with like chocolate powder and just have like a chocolate milkshake, you know. It fills me up. It like hits that like craving up for food. But but it's not the healthy thing. So like it's easy, but it's not good. But then what is good for me is hard. Like sitting there and preparing like a 20-minute meal, even if it's 20 minutes, it's no time at all. But you know, like our perceived value of time is a weird thing with that. So, and I think naturally people, you know, the brain will always direct us to the least path of resistance. It will always direct us to like the easiest thing, which is, you know, that's to like more of a preservation thing for us, like as humans. But now we have the choices and the capability, and we're not in danger, and we don't always need to look for food and stuff like that. We don't have these survival things. We can actually take our time to just be more present and to do the right thing for ourselves. But it is hard, and it's the same thing as TV. Like, why would you sit down and read a book about something that is on TV? You know, you can just watch it on TV and get the same information quicker, easier, you know, but this like the challenge of reading is where we grow.
There is more like less pleasure in it, but it's giving you different levels as well. You having the chocolate milkshake will give you more dopamine and the sugar rush, which balanced meal won't give you. So that's why you're searching for it as well. Like TV, I will sit down, I will watch it, turn off half of my brain. When I'm reading, I have to be focused. It takes different parts of your brain. That's why it's different. It's one is very difficult. Second one easy, and the results is also
Yeah, absolutely. I
going.
was listening to an audiobook today. It's called Dose, DOSE. It's got some other stuff afterward, but I'm sure you can just search Dose. And it's like it talks about dose is like the acronym of dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins.
Oh,
Yeah. Right.
yeah.
And it's a really, really good book. It's got a whole bunch of like challenges in there and like all of that. But he was actually like at the start of the book, it talks about dopamine and how we obtain dopamine now is in the real short hits. So you're going on Instagram, TikTok, like you're watching shorts on YouTube or you're watching TV, you're eating like the sugary foods. These are all like sharp hits of dopamine. But anytime we have dopamine in our system, say this is our baseline, if we have dopamine, we go up here, naturally our come down will reflect like in the same amount. Whatever we've gone up, if we go up 5 points, we come down -5 points before we reach that balance. And so what he was saying is how we can improve our dopamine, or like we can actually get better highs of dopamine by taking our time to get there, like making it more of a challenge, right? So hiking up Mount Kilimanjaro, for example, is a 5-day thing, and like getting to the top is like that's where we get like the longer burn of dopamine because we've worked harder for it. And this is what he was saying, like back in the day when we were like hunter-gatherers as humans, if we needed to hunt for 4 hours to get a meal, we would be working for 4 hours before we would get the meal, which is the dopamine, you know. And now we don't need to do anything for 4 hours to get dopamine. We can get dopamine in 2 seconds or 1 second if we really wanted it. And I found that like a really interesting part. But yeah, definitely like have a look at that book as well, because it is it's really cool.
It will be interesting because the dopamine that you're getting right now doesn't give you fulfillment either, because you can scroll on social media for hours and outcome is not that you feel better about it. Outcome is that you feel guilty, shame that, oh, I lost 2 hours. Oh, they all look better than me. They have better life than me. So outcome is not positive either, which changed how dopamine is supposed to work.
Yeah. And our dopamine has like swung. So we've like given it all these hits.
That's why you should have dinners, like you should have sweets after you have full meal, because it doesn't give you dopamine spike. It gives you like gradual increase, and then the gradual decrease, your body doesn't see that change much. You don't feel it that way. Yeah. Dopamine is fault for everything. We do everything for dopamine.
Yeah, well, 100%. Well, that's how we've been trained, you know, like it's companies leveraging human chemical reactions and human behavior to get the best for them, but what the best for them isn't the best for us as people. But that, I guess, leads us into like the last little part. Like I would love to know more about your community and what you like, what you do and how you help people, and like what your long-term goals and plans are like with everything.
So my community currently is helping people who struggle with overeating to lose weight and ultimately to detach themselves from who they are to their weight, which was something I went through myself. I wish there was a community when I was going through it, because it's a difficult process. You want to give up a lot of times. Dopamine is fault for that as well. But understanding the mechanisms and having that support is something that I want to offer to people with the community. And ultimate goal is that I really want to work with people who have diagnosed eating disorders. I'm studying right now to become the licensed psychiatrist, so I will be allowed to do it. And my ultimate goal with the community is to create a space where people see that self-love is not connected to anything. It's just you and how you see yourself, and how world changes when you change your relationship to yourself. Yeah, that's basically what it is.
Yeah, no, that's really awesome, and like we all started like the fucker listers, I suppose, like all started at like communities at the start of the year or maybe a little bit before, and
Yeah.
we all had like our visions of what we wanted to do. How have you found the journey of like building up your community, and you know how is that going for you, and have you had some like success stories in there as well?
Yeah, it was interesting because I have to learn a lot of skills I don't have. A lot of skills I don't have, which is very interesting process because I enjoy the process of learning. That's why I chose medicine. But I did have several tiny successes with the people, with my clients, and that's how I realized that this is what I want to do because I loved seeing their reaction so much. I'm like, this is what I want to do now because that's what gives me the biggest feeling of achievement, to see somebody having that aha moment when they're like, oh, that's the issue. It's not me. It's just how I was taught things. And I can just change it. They do change it and they see the results. And that is, I think that's something coaches really enjoy. And I'm trying to get to that part of being the coach myself. So I really like the process. I like seeing the progress of people and for the communities as well.
Hmm.
That's nice.
Yeah, no, I think that is like the number one thing. I think with coaching, when I started, it was mostly like I saw this ad from Jay Shetty, like he's a real marketing master.
Yeah.
Um, and, and I just sort of like I read his book, I consumed his podcast, I watched his YouTube, and it all sort of just led me to like getting this ad at a time I needed it the most. So it definitely played on like my emotional state
Yeah.
to get the sale, but it was the best thing I've ever done, because what I learned was, whilst I was doing the course, I learned all of these things that I was never taught before, which I was like, well, these are all basic things. Like, these are really easy things, but also it equipped me with the skill set to actually go out and help people. And it wasn't until I started helping people for free and knowing that I was actually making a positive change in their life, and I was helping people,
Yeah.
um, like really like improve a part of them that they had been struggling with. Like I realized then, I was like, man, like I'm just here to serve. Like that's all I want to do. I just want to help people. I want to help improve the way people live, and you know, help have healthier relationships with their mind, with themselves. Because for me, for the longest time, I just never had that. And it's such a beautiful thing. I like, even when you were speaking then, like saying you love the experience of like helping someone and like their aha moments, it fills you with such joy. And that's probably like, if we go back to that dopamine thing, it's our hard work that gets us to the point where we've been able to create change for someone. That's probably where we get that like a hit of dopamine, which makes us feel like, man, this is where I'm meant to be. And like by serving people, that gives us a sense of purpose. I feel like there's so many people out there that just don't know what they're meant to do or where they're meant to be, and so on. And yeah, I think service is such a powerful thing that I think if everyone aimed to help 3 people a day, you know, like how good would the world be? It would be unreal. So I really love what you're doing with the community, and you know, getting those small wins and helping people, and is ultimately helping people be healthier, which leads
Yeah.
to more happiness and more contentness in lives, which is really, really special.
Yeah, at least it gives you freedom to choose whatever it is you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, no, it's been really, really awesome having you on. And is there anything else that you wanted to like talk about or say about your community, or you know, your own personal journey around like your mental health challenges? You know, like we've dug into anxiety a little bit, but
Yeah.
like there's, you know, depression that you've obviously experienced as well. But yeah, I'd love to, yeah, hear from you on that side before we wrap up.
Yeah, I think the most important message I would like everybody to have is that it's not going to be there forever. because I couldn't believe I thought I was lying to myself when I was telling myself that these moments will go away. It won't be that bad all the time. And I'm like, I'm going to lie to myself until I believe it, because we have this tendency of believing everything we hear for a long period of time. But it truly goes away. And I never thought I will be not sad. Being sad was my baseline. That's how I was operating. That's how I was feeling all the time. And I never knew what it meant to be in peace, or that you don't have these fighting thoughts in your mind, or you don't have this chaos or this loneliness in you. But it's just tiny steps you have to appreciate. And you will find the way to get away from it, because I was so tired of being sad. I'm like, I would rather be anywhere but here. And that's what's changed my approach. So I started finding the ways to find what was that other place. And yeah, it's a very universal experience. People feel, I think, a little embarrassed or ashamed to share. But the moment you share it, you see how we all go through it. And when you see that support, it becomes way easier, because now you know I can talk to you about it and you have your own experience. So we will connect and it will make us feel both better, because we're not alone in the battle, which is very, very difficult one. And the long term, unfortunately, it's for a long term. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that part I really don't like, but you can shorten it.
Yeah. No, I absolutely like. I love everything that you said there, and it's so true. It leads to a lot of it leads to a community, really, like being able to share our own experiences and open up helps other people. But if we're helping other people open up, then we're giving them a space, we're giving them other people that will listen to and give them that sense of community, sense of belonging. You know, I think anyone that struggles with depression, the natural things from like my own personal experience, is you start to isolate yourself. You know, you isolate yourself. And in my experience, I think as well, it was like I isolated myself because I felt guilty for bringing other people down. And so if I did go out and I was depressed, I'd bring other people down, then I'd feel guilty for that and it would make me even worse. So I just avoided it. But then we go, well, now we're depressed, we're lonely, we're isolated. Now we don't have anywhere that we belong. And, you know, and so why are we here? Like it goes to that rabbit hole of what is the point of us being here ultimately. And so being able to share like our stories and our experiences, and like you said, changing the way we believe things and changing the way we perceive things in life, it really do help us like move through like the hard times and the pain points. And it unfortunately isn't easy. It is a challenge. It is hard. But the key note is there are people there experiencing the same things, and there are people there to support and help you along the way. And I think that's like such a beautiful like thing to leave people with, is just knowing that there are spaces available, and there are free spaces. People do want to help genuinely for free, and then if you want more help, then there obviously is like something that you could pay for to get extra help, you know. But it's I think now it's becoming like a beautiful world, or maybe it's just like the world that I exist in, where people are just generally wanting to help people. But I really do feel like it's a beautiful world where there's so many people which do want to help, and it fills me with a lot of positivity and hope for the future. So yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And one last thing about that is that you felt guilty of bringing other people down. But what I didn't realize, I was feeling the same way. But when I told my friends, when I started to telling my friends, like, I don't feel good, I will bring you all down, things changed, because they were like, no, we want to hang out with you no matter how you feel like. So let's do something you feel comfortable, or you can be there, and it takes away the guilt element because you are giving them choice to make the decision. Don't take away that choice. It's not up to you, it's up to them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
are like, yes, that's one of the beginning things I did, which helped a lot. I was just honest, and they're like, what do you mean? We want to hang out with you. And it ended up being completely guilt free.
Yeah. No, that's really, really awesome. And I think, yeah, giving other people the choice is really powerful, you know, like, because if, like, generally people do want to hang out and people do want to see you and spend time with you, and you're not taking their choice away, I think is more important. Is giving them the permission slip to choose that, you know, rather than you being like, no, you know, because when we do that, like, it's just more damaging for us. So yeah.
Some decisions are not up to you. You have to let other people decide.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah. Well, I'd like you, just before we end, and first of all, thank you so much for being an amazing guest and friend as well. Like, you know, we've never met in person, but I know we will.
We will soon.
Yeah, F1 race for sure. But hopefully I'll be heading over to Estonia in July or August. So we'll see if we can get that done.
I'm planning that too. So
I think there'll be a bunch of people, which will be really cool. So yeah, but I want to say thank you for your friendship and your just, you know, support with a lot of things that I've done over the last year and whatnot, but also being a guest on the podcast and sharing your story and hopefully inspiring some listeners. And yeah, to wrap up, I would love you to just share like your socials and your community name and, you know, where people can find you and stuff.
Yeah, so my community name, it's on Skool. It's called No Diet Zone. And you can also find me on like any social media, mostly Instagram, with the same name, Marie Kipiani. And I can't wait to see how JAM will continue because I'm very excited. I remember the idea when I heard about it. I was like, this will be something epic. And I'm very glad I joined it from the beginning stages to see the progress because it's just brilliant for me. And that's something that we, society, need a lot.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see how everything will go. And thank you for the opportunity to be the guest. It was so interesting to chat with you.
No. Well, it's an absolute pleasure. And, you know, you have officially ticked off my bucket list item of 10 podcast episodes. So as soon as it's published, I'll record it and send it to you that I've crossed it off and that's done. But no, thank you so much. Honestly, it's a pleasure having you, and I'd love to, you know, maybe in 6 months or 12 months time, or even when I get to Estonia and we're hanging out in person, we can do like another, you know, a recap episode. That'd be really, really cool. And yeah, but no, thank you so much, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you. It was pleasure and honor to be the 10th guest.